Hey everyone. So I'm happy to report that I have been very busy in my studio. I don't really have a whole lot of finished pieces to show y'all right now, but I have a lot of whips or works in progress as usual, but I did manage to finish a really big piece for me that I'm really proud of. This is kind of a big seahorse fantasy creature. And I started her in January and I ended her just last month, and I'm really proud of the way that she came out. I was taking my time with her, and I didn't really want to rush her, and I kind of just was like, wherever she wants to take me in terms of what color she wants to be, I'll go with it. And yeah, really proud of the way that she came out. Hope to show her in late June. It'll be the 27th. There's a show down in the Springs, Colorama Live. So I'm going to take her down there and hopefully she does well. So, yeah, excited for that. And other than that, I got a girlie that I finished. She is an older stablemate Arab mare mold. So she's a little Arabian, and that is let's see if I held them by the tail. That is a pissy mare face. I don't know who pissed her off, but look at those ears. She is mad. But she's really cute. And she's got really nice proportions. So I made her into kind of a mulberry gray. This light's kind of being wonky, but you can kind of tell that her mane and tail are kind of a reddish brown. There's still some tweaking I need to do, like the socks and whatever, but yeah, pretty pleased with how she came out. And let's see, who else do I have to show you guys? Well, I'm working on one of my favorite Breyer stablemate molds. The mold name is called Django. That's this guy. So this is a Frisian, but I chose to make him into a Frisian sport horse. And fingers crossed, I'm liking the way those white markings are coming out. White markings are the bane of my existence, I swear. They are not easy, and one thing with white markings is getting them to come out smoothly. And mostly what I'll do is I use airbrush medium simply because it's not that thick and it's kind of, I want to say the consistency is that of like skim milk, if that. And then what I do is I kind of get I use lids. I have a palette that I could be using, but somehow I just prefer lids. And I'll take a mop brush of sorts. And mostly what I'll do is when I dunk my brush in, I don't just go straight to the horse after I've dunked it in the paint. I'll kind of get rid of some of the excess paint just a little bit, just to unload it. And I found that way it helps reduce the amount of streaks I put on the horse. I actually just had to strip a horse in terms of her white markings because it was just the white markings were looking too chunky. And anytime you're trying to show a horse in terms of realism, like judges want to see smooth white markings with not any streaks, any sort of chunks, what have you, and that's really difficult. So yeah, just kind of trucking along on that black and white I showed you. And then let's see, I'm still trucking along on my Caprice medallion. Not much to report on him. I'm kind of keeping him on the back burner right now just because I find I really like savoring the idea of working on them. And I'm not in any hurry to just finish him because I'm having a lot of fun with him. And I find that my work benefits a lot if I just go really slow and at my pace instead of rushing myself, because sometimes I do rush myself and then that's when it doesn't, that's when things just don't come out. But then I am working on this little rivet. The name is, that's the mold name, Rivet, stablemate. And by stablemate, I mean Breyer. These are by Breyer. So, for instance, like this is a traditional Breyer full. Actually, I think it might be a classic. Anyway, these are both Breyer. Unlike the gray I showed you, that's an artist resin. So the artist resin is hand sculpted, and he was sculpted by a friend of mine. But this is a stablemate that I've been working on. The goal is to make him into kind of a leopard Appaloosa. And you can see I've started doing, focus camera, some hair by hair in between the speckles, or the polka dots, if you want to call them. And then I've been doing that over here, and yeah, I use a mixture of titanium buff, titanium white, and sometimes a little bit of burnt umber. And this Liquitex, I like this Liquitex a lot because it's fluid, and so the consistency is really nice to work with. It's not chunky. I actually just got rid of a whole bunch of acrylic paint because it was just kind of cheap stuff that I picked up back in the day. And there's this great store in Boulder called Art Parts, and they took all of my old acrylic paints. I was so glad. But anyway, so I take a brush about maybe this size, and it takes a really fine hand, and I just, do little ticks with my little mixture of kind of tanny white brownie paint, tan brown. And it's different doing hair by hair with paint, because sometimes, you might get kind of a glob, and it's more difficult to smooth it out than it is if I was working with, say, pencil. Perhaps in the future I might do pencil again if I do another leopard Appaloosa. With pencil, I find that, say, there's an area that kind of looks a little too congealed or looks a little too stuck, I can just sort of blend it out with my finger and start over. But so this guy I'm having just a lot of fun with, just kind of making little ticks there. The end goal is to have both sides like that. The legs will stay solid. And let's see. Well, the little girl I showed you, I got this at an antique store, and I love this little full mold. She's a very young full, and probably going to give her a good soap and water bath and then prime her, because the idea is to paint her. And yeah, don't really know what I'm going to paint her like, but I just thought this little mold was so cute. But anyway, that's it for right now. I am going to try and post maybe within the next 3 months. We'll have to see, depending on how many pieces I get finished. Knowing me in the summer, I just sort of coast along. One last piece that I forgot to show you guys was this little medallion. This is a little medicine hat paint. So I gave it, gosh, this light is hard. I gave it some blue eyes and war paint. So yeah, gonna take all my finished pieces that I have with me down to the springs, and hopefully they do well. We'll have to see. I'm really excited to be debuting some new pieces, and I hope that they'll have a fighting chance, because kind of that's not the whole reason of why I do this, but it is a big part, and it does feel good to see my workplace and not just like 6th or whatever. It feels good to see a place 1st or 2nd, or even, hell, maybe just maybe I'll get like an overall champ or reserve or whatever. So think good thoughts for me, y'all. And I'll probably do a video after the show, depending on how well my stuff does. I'll probably show some of the pieces that placed of mine that I painted and talk about them. So we'll have to see how that goes. And anyway, hope everyone has a really nice summer, and it's not too hot for everyone. It's been really hot for me, but thankfully Jordan and I have been escaping to the mountains to hike, and that's been really, really lovely. So anyway, I'm gonna get back to painting here, but thanks for tuning in as always. It really means a lot, and I love reading any of your comments that you post. And happy painting. See you soon.